Patrick Culligan. Well, I was born in Toronto, Canada. I was there for all of 3 months. When my parents moved to San Francisco, my dad got transferred out to San Francisco. I was there for another 1.5 years, I guess, and where my younger brother was born. Moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota from there, and 2 sisters were born there. And then moved to Chicago, Western Springs, suburb of Chicago. And my younger brother and youngest sister, they were born there and lived there for, from like 13 or 14 years. And then they moved to Louisville. I finished up college here in Chicago and then moved to Louisville to join a band down there that was going on the road. And I traveled with them for 5 years and then moved back to Chicago and pretty much been here ever since. I was about 12 years old, 6th grade. I was going to play trumpet, but I had braces, so I couldn't play trumpet, so I took drums instead. And I've been playing drums ever since. I really fell in love with the instrument and have played my whole life since then. So I started off with the first band I was in was a brass band, 5-piece. It had a 5-piece brass section and then the full rhythm section. We played Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears like that. So Danny Seraphin, big influence during that time, Bobby Colomby, who was a drummer in Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and other drummers that were in that genre. Very into that. Had a couple of different bands that were all brass bands at that time. That would have been 73, 74, something like that. And then after that, I started to get into prog rock in a big way. The second concert I ever went to was Yes, and I saw the Tales of Topographic Oceans tour when I was in high school, and that will tell you a little bit about how old I am. Then from that point, it was drummers like that, Bill Bruford, Carl Palmer, drummers like that were big in the prog rock scene. Well, there was a couple. The brass band, I think it was the second or third brass band I was playing with. We put together, had a great brass section and great musicians in that band for our ages. This has been late in my high school career, and then the other one was a band called Heresy that I was in from 1975 till 1979, and it was nothing but prog all the time. It was Yes, Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Gentle Giant, all that kind of thing that nobody could dance to, but we believed in it and we played as much as we could. There's not much money in Prague, if you will, when the disco craze was going on, but we did it anyway, and I love that. I still love it. I still listen to it. I would agree with that. I think that it's gives you a perspective on especially time signatures and feel through time signatures that you don't get when you're just playing disco music or something like that. It's where it's basic 4 or something. It gives you a perspective and it gives you a way to be creative in a space that maybe others have not had that experience. Allows me to do, and I appreciate that experience tremendously. Well, through various connections and through actually Gary, who is the violinist in Shadowfields. Actually, we were the very first band I played with back in high school was with him. He was in the band, and we've known each other and played together in various various bands, things like that, sitting in for a lot of years, since almost 55 years now, I guess. And so the experience of that and him playing with me and him being in Shadowfields, there was an opportunity that came up because of how they wanted to work me with another drummer, kind of when he's in Arizona, I'm here playing, and vice versa. So it's it's something that I really enjoy, the original music. I really enjoy the music of Shadowfields, and it's gotten more and more active with Shadowfields over the past couple of years. Okay, so the process that we fell into, I think we didn't actually necessarily design it this way, but Tom asked me to play on The Mirror. That was the first song that he was recording, and he wanted a certain feel that he felt like I could give to it. And so he asked me to play on that one. And the way he sent me the tracks that he had at the time, and what I did is I took those tracks and I kind of split out the drum track, and I played to that track, and I would send it to Tom. And Tom would listen to it and say, well, that's crazy, or that's great, or I like that, or I don't like that, or what are you thinking? And we went through that process back and forth a little bit, and then about every week we would do one song. We had 1 week we did 2 songs, but one, and I'd send that back. We'd send back and forth and talk about ideas. And when I got here to record, I had somewhat of an idea that where we wanted to go. But we worked hard working with different options and creative ideas. I had some, Tom had most of them, but I had some, and we kind of melded it into what you're hearing in the album, which I think, it turned out very much more interesting because of that process, and we were able to make it happen. So that's kind of the process I fell into for this. When you're playing 7/8, 13/8, 13/9, whatever the stuff that he comes up with in his music, it's just you have to develop a feel for it to make it sound right. You can't just play it mechanically. You have to make it feel right, and that's what I attempted to do on these. And I think that we did that, but that switching and time signatures and things like that, you have to pay attention. You have to be willing to try some things that possibly don't work, and then you find a few things that worked. And that was that process through that. But that was the interesting part for me with Tom's music, because it is not, the time signatures are not there to make it the prog rock. It is the song, and then the time signatures are germane to the song, and it makes sense for the songs that are there. So that was a good feeling to have. Oh, amazing. That doesn't even describe the experience of working with Tom. I mean, just one look from Tom, and you adjust your whole perspective on what you're playing. And, and then, he's a very, I respect his musicianship hugely. So he challenges you. He's very challenges you with he has his perspective. He has what he wants. He's clear about what he wants, and he challenges you to deliver it. And I do well with people like that. I know what I'm trying to do I know when I'm doing it right, because I'll be told. I know when I'm doing it wrong, because I'll also get told that too. And so it's very for me, it's just been great working with Tom in this project. Because we were able to open up and get more creative ideas between the two of us. I think that, when you have a talent like Tom has, some people can be intimidated by that, and I'm really not. I really believe that it's the way it has to be, and if you want to get what you want, you got to tell people what you want, and I respect that, and I will always respect that. So that's why I think this kind of worked for both of us. Well, I like Love and Life. I think that is an energetic tune that has a great rhythmic feel to it, and it really drives. It's got a really drive to it. And I also, Another World is probably the most challenging of all the songs, because it's 13 minutes or so long, and it goes through a lot of changes, and you have to think about the feel you want to have in different ways throughout. So that'd be the most challenging song. So I like that, because I like challenging things. But Love and Life is just one that I thought was a real good driving song. And I think, of the ones on the album, that's going to be one of the ones that people are going to really connect with. But I will say, though, there is one song that I did not play on that I think is great. And I think that one could be, I think people are going to enjoy that in a big way because of how it's produced and what the subject matter is and so forth. But it's that one that I didn't play on, I think I like just as much as the other two I did. Something Beautiful is the name of that song. And like I said, it is something beautiful in the way it was designed, written, and orchestrated. I wouldn't take anything away from that. The shorter song, I just think it's a good drive-in rockin' tune, and I like that as much. And then, but the other one is probably when you talk about prog, and you think about, if you look at the classic things like Close to the Edge, and you look at these long, like Carnival 9 and all the things that it goes through there, that really is kind of hits me in the heart when it comes to my prog background and nature. So I think that's, I like a lot of different types of music, and they kind of hit both pretty well. Yeah, I would love to do it. I would love to play live. It depends on a lot of things, and how things progress with the record company, and how things progress with different things we want to do. But hey, I would do it in a heartbeat. Well, we did this all on Tom's kit, his drum set. And his drum set is similar to mine in some ways and not in others. But I really tried I didn't want to change anything about the setup, because he's got such a great sound with how it's set up. I didn't want to start moving toms and all kinds of stuff around, because my toms are set up a different way. But that was interesting when we recorded, because it was just looking in the room, and you come in a room with the drum set and you got 19 mics on the drum set in the room, and you go, well, that's something that's not happening in my studio. It was interesting to see how much of of a sound that you get from that. And I have a studio. I'm kind of a studio geek, if you will. So it was interesting to see him work and what he does to get the sounds he gets. And that was really an educational experience for me. And I've taken some things back to my studio and used some of the things here. I'm not going to tell him which ones because he'll try to say, well, hey, you should pay me for that. But so anyway, that was a big learning experience for me on recording the album. I was very happy with the drum sounds. I thought it had a percussive feel, so you could hear the strokes that I was playing, but you had that great a nice filling drum sound that made it fit what we were doing real well. And I really liked what the outcome was. I thought it was great. No, I'd love to work on another prog album, but the next prog album's got to have mandola, mandolin, and maybe a lute if you can find one, because that's the stuff that really blows up the prog rock genre unbelievably. So that would be my only request. This is a great album, and I believe that it will. A lot of people are going to like this, and I'm just very much fortunate to be a part of the project.